Welcome back to another fabulous government video. Today we're going to be talking about the early foundations of American government and where we got the ideas that we did to create the government that we have today. So starting off with A, the power of government. You guys know through your study of American history that our founding fathers wanted our new national government that they were creating to be weak, okay? They didn't want it to be super duper powerful because that's what we had under Great Britain. We didn't want to go down that road again, okay? But where did we get the ideas for things like a limited government and a representative government? Those come from examples from previous documents and also from previous government systems, okay? So we wanted to make sure that the government was limited, but how was the government going to be limited? Would it be limited by a constitution later on? Would it be limited, would the members of the government be limited in how long they serve or how they are chosen to serve? Those were some things we were grappling with, okay? We also wanted to make sure that it was going to be representative, okay? Representative of the people. If you remember when we were breaking away from Great Britain, one of the big rallying cries was no taxation without representation, right? Because people were mad that we didn't actually have a representative, a person in Parliament who was going to speak on our behalf. So we had to make sure that our new government was going to be representative, but we just didn't know how exactly that was going to look. So some previous examples that our founding fathers looked to whenever we were creating our government. We looked to this thing called the Magna Carta. And the Magna Carta was signed in 1215, okay, so it's super duper old. And it was signed by King John of Great Britain, okay? Now, prior to this document, England really functioned as an absolute monarch, okay? So King John was able to do whatever he wanted. He had very limited constraints, okay? So this document is important because when he signed it, it was the first document to limit the power of a monarch, okay? So no, King John, you can't do whatever you want. No, future kings and queens of England, you can't do whatever you want. You are limited in power, okay? So this was a big deal. And if you think about it, do you think that King John signed that document willingly, or do you think he was forced to? We'll talk about it in class. All right, Petition of Right. This is another document. This was signed in 1628. It was signed by a guy named Charles I, okay? Charles is known for having a really tumultuous relationship with Parliament. They didn't get along really well. There was some discussion on who has more power. Is it me or is it you? Who has the right to do this? Is it me or is it you? So that discussion often ended in King Charles just really doing whatever he wanted. So when he signed the Petition of Right, it was a document stating that he couldn't act without Parliament's consent, specifically dealing with taxes and sending troops into battle. So the third document we want to look at is the English Bill of Rights. Okay, this was signed in 1688 by King William and Queen Mary. Okay, and these guys were actually called into England to rule England because there was an absence of a king. And Parliament basically said, look, we want you guys to be our king and queen, but before you are, you have to sign and you have to agree to this Bill of Rights, okay? So it was another document that limited the power of the king, but this is an important document because it actually protects rights of the people, okay? So it protects the people from things like cruel and unusual punishments, excessive fines, and things that probably sound a little bit familiar to our Bill of Rights, okay? So those are three important documents. I'll stop there for today. If you have any questions, let me know.